Okay, so the last time we converted decimals to fractions and percents, now we're going to work on converting fractions to their equivalent decimals and percents. So in order to go from a fraction to a decimal, the only thing that we have to do is just divide. So we have to use long division to divide. So 1 divided by 9, it's important that the 1 goes inside the bracket and the 9 goes outside. Order can get confusing here, but we want the 1 on the inside. 9 can't go into 1, so I have to add a decimal point and then a 0 at the end, because 9 can go into 10 once here. 1 times 9 is 9. When I subtract, I get 1, and I can add another 0 and bring it down. 9 goes into 10 once. 1 times 9 is 9. We subtract and get 1. I could add another 0. I could add zeros all day. 9 is always going to go into 10 once, and I'm always going to get 1 as a remainder, and then bring a 0 down to make it 10. And so I see that this is what we call a repeating fraction. This 0.1111111 is going to go on and on forever. And so we signify that by putting a little bar above the 1 here. So we say 0 and 1/10 repeating, and the little bar shows us that that 1 goes on and on forever. And then to take a fraction to a percent, the only way, I think the easiest way is to just, once you have the decimal, to just convert it to a percent. So when I do fraction to percent, I always find the decimal and then I just convert it to a percent. Find decimal, convert to percent. And in order to do that, we learned in the last video, all we have to do is just take the decimal 2 places to the right. And so when I do that, I get 11 and 1/10 repeating percent. Again, because this is a repeating decimal here, this 1 after the decimal point in the percentage is also going to go on and on forever. So I put the little repeating bar above it to show that it's 11 and 1/10 repeating percent. 11.111111 on and on forever with my percent sign. So I'm going to do one more example for you over here, 2/3. I'm going to do 2 divided by 3. The fraction bar is a fancy way of showing division. I have to add my decimal point with a 0 because 3 cannot go into 2. And then 3 goes into 20 6 times, and 6 times 3 is 18. When I subtract, I get 2. I can add a 0 and bring that down. 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. When I subtract, I get 2. Add another 0. 3 goes into 26 times. I have another repeating decimal, and this does not always happen. In fact, on number 10 and number 11, you'll have a terminating decimal, but you'll see more repeating on 9 and 12. So when you do those next ones, you'll have a couple that repeat and a couple that terminate. They stop. There is no pattern, but this one is actually a repeating decimal again, so I have 0 and 6/10 repeating. Again, I put the little bar to show the repeating spot. And then my percentage, I move that decimal 2 places over and get 66 and 6/10 repeating percent. And that is my answer for 2/3. So at this point, I would really prefer that you pause the video, try the next 4 on your own, and then when you're done, come back and watch my work and make sure that your work matches my work when it's all said and done. So at this point, I would have you pause it and try the next 4. Hopefully you're restarting this video and getting ready to watch me work. I'm not going to talk while I work just to save time, but this way you can at least see my steps in chronological order and check your work at the end. So All right. So those are my answers for the last 4. Hopefully yours match and you are able to see your work match my work and you got those correct.